UFC featherweight prospect, Josh Culibao. Thank you, Josh, for coming on again. It's been a while. You've been through a lot in this year. Just how are you feeling right now?
Man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fit, excited. I'm in a really good place right now.
How is Sydney at the moment? Because I've seen a lot of things in the news about Australia and the restrictions they're putting on people and the movement is limited and stuff like that. What's the situation right now?
Well, fortunately enough, we're not as bad as Melbourne. We're not in like full lockdown where we're still able to, you know, do go to work and still travel and do some stuff. But obviously, everyone's still got to maintain social distancing, and most places has like a no, you have to have a mask rule sort of thing. So, like there's still precautions, and wherever you like whatever place you go, they usually tell you to log into like let's say if you go to a restaurant, they'll tell you to log in and say, oh, you were here at this time, this day. So just in case anything happens, they can trace it back and tell you to quarantine and whatnot. So there is still some precautions in that, but it's not as bad as some parts in Australia.
Are they making people wear masks if you work out or anything like that?
No, no. But I mean,
Okay.
like, I know some businesses and some like restaurants or cafes, they're like pretty pretty full on with the whole you have to have a mask or you have to be completely like 1.5 meters away from each other. So it's like, yeah.
Now with the training, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that it was kind of serious for a minute and then everything got loosened up.
Yep.
When did it get loosened up for you in Sydney?
Um, well, the thing was, it started to loosen up around June. Um, but before then, anyway, we were starting to get government exemptions to help Volko Alexander Volkanovski get ready for his championship fight against Max Holloway. So it didn't change too much for us because we were still training in a small circle. But yeah, gyms started to open up. We have restrictions on how many people can train at a certain time, and you have to book like in advance. Like some of the classes at Igor's is you have to book in advance, and they pretty much booked all the way like 2 or 3 weeks in advance. So it's full on.
All right, let's get into that champ camp that you had with Alex Volkanovski. You guys were isolated. You had a bunch of guys, some of the best guys in Australia, and it was probably one of the best experiences, probably right for in your career of just training with Volkanovski and Girdham and
Yeah,
Allen and I
yeah,
can't name
for
everybody.
sure. Yeah, for sure. Man, it was a super cool experience. But the funny thing is, I already know majority of I know all of those boys from just being on the local circuit. So it wasn't like they were new. Like I was meeting them for the first time. So it was just more like a you know a group of friends coming together again to train and help the champ defend his belt.
What did you get out of that experience? You know what I mean? I know that it's probably better that you knew the guys before you went in there, so there's no like honeymoon period.
Tension. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but once you get into the
Um,
trenches, you know what I mean, and it's just such an important fight. It's the UFC title fight. It's just
Yeah, yeah,
huge.
for sure. It's massive. Yeah, for sure. That keeping that belt in Australia is a big thing for us. So like we're very proud about the whole Anzac's versus the world sort of thing. Keeping strong in our small little area, our little MMA community, if you would say. But yeah, we're very proud about keeping that sort of that tight knit group sort of thing like that.
Did it allow you to kind of measure your skill set? You know where you were at that moment with your
Yeah,
skills and
one,
comparing it to the
one,
champ. He's a champ, featherweight. You're
one.
featherweight.
Oh, exactly, 100%. No, like I took a lot away from that thing. Not so much technically, like the technique wise. We all know how to throw a punch. We all know how to throw a kick. We all know how to throw. We all know how to do a single leg. We all know how to do double legs. We all know these techniques. There's nothing like a secret technique that Volko's doing that he's just blowing everyone out of the water. It's more so his mindset and his work ethic. Like I used to think I trained hard, and then I seen what he goes through. It's literally mind-boggling how he can mentally push through some of these sessions, because like some of these sessions he'd do in the morning are ridiculous, and then in the afternoon he'd back up and do like another seriously crazy session, and it's just insane what he puts his body through. And that was probably one of the biggest things, is like his mindset and his work ethic is like nothing like I've ever seen before.
It's a good guy to have at your disposal, right? If you need
That's
him
it.
to come through.
That's it. That's it. Well, the crazy thing is that like all the best guys in Australia, I live only like an hour and a half away, hour to hour and a half away. Like Jamie Malaki, who lives in the Central Coast, is only an hour up north. And then you got Alex Volkanovski, who lives an hour and a half down south. And then you got Martin Hyon, who lives an hour out west, with Trent Girdham in around that way. So literally, I've got training partners like at that caliber only an hour and a half, hour away. So it's pretty insane. And now that we finally all come together to help Volko out, it was like it was pretty crazy to see the sort of talent that we had, and we made it. Majority of us made it to where they are now without us training together. So now that we've sort of like, I don't know, broken that seal where it's like, oh, it's not wrong to train with each other. Why do people seem like it's a big deal to not train with each other and sort of feel like it's like we're keeping secrets away from each other? But in reality, it's like it's boosting us up, all training together, at the highest level. We all made it there without even training with each other. So imagine when we do train each other and we're able to build each other up, it's going to be, a whole new level.
Definitely. Now let's go back to your UFC debut in New Zealand. It was short notice. You're fighting at lightweight. A lot of factors heading in. You ended up losing your first professional fight. Was that setback? Was that something that was tough to swallow, a tough pill to swallow, or were you able to put that in the rearview mirror pretty quickly and move forward?
Nah, it was definitely a tough time for me. I haven't lost competitively until then for like 5 years. I haven't lost competitively, and for something to happen on the biggest stage in front of the most, on the world stage, in front of so many people, and it was like it really got to me. And then on top of that, right after that fight, the whole country went into lockdown because of the whole COVID situation. So to add on top of that whole COVID situation didn't help either. But it was a pretty full on time for me. It was a tough pill to swallow. A lot of people close to me all said to me like, oh, trying to make excuses for it and like saying, oh, upper weight class, short notice, blah blah blah. And I tried to look at it at their point of view, and it never really like sunk in for me. So it was hard for me to accept losing, because I felt like I could have done more in that fight. But sometimes you gotta just bite the bullet and just be like, look, Jalen was the better guy, and that's it, and just got to keep on keeping on, sort of thing.
Well, in that fight, you injured your knee.
Yeah.
I think you tore your MCL. Have you faced anything like that during a fight throughout your career?
Never. And it's really, and again, something like that, like everyone's saying, oh, it's just unfortunate, but like I try not to use that as an excuse. He was honestly just a better guy that night, and it is what it is. I can't go back in time and wish I didn't skip across the cage the way I skipped across the cage, and whatever happened. Like I just can't do that. I can't change it, but I can, work on what's here right now in front of me, and work for the future. So it is what it is. I've learned to, it was a massive, more so learning curve mentally, not so much physically, like to be able to go through the whole UFC process. And then on top of going through the whole UFC process, like dealing with the media, dealing with the weight cut there, and fighting overseas. I've never fought overseas like that before. It was all a new experience for me. So now I've sort of got that little those jitters out of the way. I feel like now I'll be able to just go in there, treat it the same way I've always treated it, and win like I always do.
What was the recovery like for the knee?
It was 7 to 8 weeks of rehab. I had to get scans done just in case it was that bad that I had to get surgery, but lucky it wasn't. And then it was 7 to 8 weeks of obviously no explosive training and just gradually rehabbing the leg back up to full strength.
Man, it must have been a tough time because, like you said, you haven't lost in 5 years, and then you get injured during the fight, and then right after the event, the country goes into lockdown, so you're kind of stuck at home. Things
That's
can
it.
get into your head, right? Like
It
it can
does.
be
It
a tough
does.
time for anybody.
100%. And fighting at the highest level, it sort of made me like, you know, it made me doubt myself. It made me feel like maybe I'm only good locally. Maybe I can only beat the guys here because I can only beat, I'm only good on the local scene. I can only beat up the local talent here, but I'm never going to be like, you know, good enough to fight internationally and beat international high level fighters. So it kind of, that sort of those doubts kind of crept into my mind, especially not being able to train and release this sort of energy, this negative energy out. And it's sort of like, it's tough when you're stuck at home and shit just in your head just dwells over and over again. You just sort of it's like you think about it and you try to ignore it, and then it just ends up building up more in your head, and you're like, wait, well, why did I do this? Or like just shit in your head just constantly stirs, and you kind of blow it more out of proportion because you got nothing else to do besides think about what you've done. It's like, if you think about it, when a kid gets in trouble, their parents always tell them, go in the corner, face the wall, think about what you've done. And what do? They face the wall and stare at the wall and think about what they've done, and they've sort of like they have to realize like what's happening, and it's like punishment for them where they have to think about it. And it was like torture to me, like not being able to train and fix these things, and to be able to train, like obviously with my knee as well, it was tough as well dealing with that. And so all these little things started to play with my mind. And I just lucky I have a good support system that's able to help me out when I'm feeling low.
Now, coming off of all of that, a lot of stuff to digest. What kind of adjustments did you make in your training? I feel like you've changed a lot.
Man, I have, like I said, I seen what Volko does. I've seen what it takes now. Like he fought a 5-minute round against one of the guys with the highest pace, and he outpaced a guy like that. It was a close fight, but he still took it to Holloway. You know what I mean? And to see his work ethic, to see his mindset, to see what he's doing, those are all the things that I'm trying to imitate in my sort of even day-to-day stuff. His nutrition, his strength and conditioning, his recovery, his normal training sessions. It's just being able to be a part of that, being a part of his like 5-6 week camp. It was crazy to see what he was able to do in that short amount of time, and be able to level up so quickly. So I'm just using that as a guide of what he was doing to level up myself.
With the nutrition, and I saw something about strength and conditioning. So you're trying to bulk up a little bit? Are you trying to get some more muscle on there?
That's it. I'm trying to build more lean muscle, so when I'm not out of camp, I'm not blown out too big. Not becoming so fat and coming off the couch where I'm constantly training. I'm constantly able to. I'm sitting lower and closer to my fight weight than I would normally.
All right, well, you got your fight coming up, man. Charles Jourdain, UFC Fight Island. That's exciting just in itself right there. What are your thoughts on him and what he brings to the matchup?
And he's a great fighter. He's young, he's hungry. He's already fought some good guys in Du Hoi Choi. Like, man, to stop a guy like Du Hoi Choi is a feather in your cap. It's a big deal. And also to take Andre Fili all the way to the decision as well, and make it a split is a big deal as well. I think Charles is a very high level guy, and I think a guy like him and his sort of style will bring the best out of me. I feel like I need a challenge, and I feel like he presents a perfect challenge for me to be able to showcase my whole MMA game. So
when you look at this matchup, from an outsider's point of view, it's somewhat tailor-made for each other. You guys are made for each other. You know, it's like a striker's delight in many ways.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is that you know, my coach did a little breakdown on Charles. Like I try not to get into so much video detail because I'll sort of like pick at it too much. Where I just let my coach Igor look at it, or my training partner Alan look at it and just tell me what needs to be done. And then the funny thing is that they all sort of looked at me and they said, like, he's just another version of you. You know, very similar in styles, and very similar as in we like to push the pace. You know, we sometimes might start a little bit slower, but we ended up always looking for the finish, always pushing the pace all the way to the end. You know, he usually gets late round finishes, so do I. You know, I've had a few finishes in the 4th and 5th round of title fights, and he's had, you know, finishes in, you know, later parts of the fight as well. So he's a guy that likes to pick the pace up as the fight goes on and sort of break people. So it'll be a good test, as in who's going to break who first. And I'm excited for something like that, you know.
Have you just been working with Igor and Alan Philpott? Have you brought anybody else in?
I've actually been training with also Trent. Okay. He's been coming in and helping me out, and I've been going down every now and then down to freestyle to train with Joe Lopez and obviously Volkanovski and that camp. So yeah, I've just been, you know, picking parts here and there, but majority of my camp has been just at Igor's with Alan.
All right. Now, what are your expectations going into this fight?
Fireworks. I think this fight is gonna be a scrap, and I don't think it's gonna go to the judges. I honestly don't think it's gonna go to the judges, whether it's a submission or whether it's a finish on the feet. I think it's like a 95% chance that this fight does not go to the judge's decision.
Are you looking forward to going to Fight Island with the quarantine and the no crowd and all that?
Just to say I fought on Fight Island is good enough for me, man. Like not many fighters will be able to say that. Yeah, you know, during this whole COVID situation, that I was able to go to, you know, go to Fight Island and experience that. So it's a sort of it's a novelty just to be able to go there. So I think, you know.
You expect fireworks, and I think that this matchup is a sleeper matchup on this card. What is the perfect way, though, if you know you expect fireworks, but what is the perfect way to get your first UFC victory?
Knockout. Obviously knockout. People love knockouts. Knockouts will always be king. I don't care how. Sometimes you might get the very occasional slick, you know, once in a lifetime twister or, you know, some fancy submission, but people love knockouts. And you know, so do I. I love a good knockout too. So that's what I'm going to be looking for.
All right. Well, I think Charles is going to be looking for the same thing, so that's why you expect fireworks. Beautiful.
All that's what I'm expecting.
All right. Well, October 3rd, UFC Fight Island, Abu Dhabi. Josh, appreciate the time, man, and good luck on the fight. All the best, man. Been watching you for a long time, and I'm so happy that you are in the UFC and chasing your dreams, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks, John.
Hey guys, Sasha Platnikoff here, letting you know to tune in to SCMP post-fight for all your weekly martial arts news.